What's going on, everybody? Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that bell button for future notifications, and hit that like. Share this on all your social media platforms. Check it out, man. D-Style Boxing here. Upset City. Upset. So Mark Magsayo pulls off the upset against Gary Russell Jr. Almost 3-1 odds, by the way, if you bet on the fight. Uh, Gary Russell was, out for 2 years, but he had fought once in like 3.5 years or something like that. So at the end of the day, Mark Masayo is the active fighter, and I kind of felt that, he was, you know, that there was an upset brewing here. And then you add to the fact that Gary Russell obviously was a one-handed fighter about 2/3 of this fight. Shout out to Gary Russell Jr. The dude fought with one arm practically for about 2/3 of the fight, almost. And he pulled through it somehow. He's still elusive. He's still quick. He's got quick reflexes. But that did not stop Mark Magsayo from hitting what doesn't move as much, which is the body. He was doing the body attack early on. Gary, was taking the body shots very well, by the way. But at the end of the day, I still think, Mark Magsayo could have done more. I still think Mark Magsayo could have had more urgency during the fight, no doubt about that. But he still did enough to win the fight. Obviously, he got the title. Most people have him winning. I see a lot of draws out there. And those that scored it for Gary, I see it like 7-5 or something like that. So at the end of the day, it's still a fight that I think we can have a rematch for. I know I see a lot of people out there, no rematch. Why not? I don't see the big deal about a rematch. A lot of answers, right? Like what Gary can say, you know what? I'm going to have two hands this time. You know what I mean? What now? I could see Magsayo making adjustments to, perform even better than he did, right? He showed a lot of impatience, especially in the second half of the fight. You put all that body work in early. You were boxing better when Gary had two hands. I don't get it, right? So whatever mental lapses he had, I think he can maybe figure that out, and I think the rematch will be even better. I'm all for the rematch, but let me say this. In that fight stress environment, like a prize fight, something like this could happen. You could sustain an injury, all right? And if Gary Russell came in with a pre-existing injury, that's his problem. That's not Magsayo's problem, right? And what I'm not going to do is give Gary extra credit just because he was injured. He's the one that got injured. It's just the way it is, right? Can you say, man, Magsayo, you should have done better if you only had one arm? Sure, but at the end of the day, Gary's still an elusive guy, even if he only has one arm to strike with, but he's still elusive in there and hard to hit and all that good stuff. I always anticipated that this fight would be a matter of quality versus quantity. I felt that one guy would be more active, and one guy would be more accurate, right? And I felt that would be the argument. That's what I'm seeing a lot now. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, "Oh, Gary won. He landed the cleaner shots. Magsayo didn't really hit him," even though those body shots were definitely landing, make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. But I anticipated controversy, and there is. There's people that feel Gary was robbed. If Gary would have won, believe me, there would have been a lot of people saying Magsayo was robbed, right? So there's a mixed bag out there, but I anticipated that. Looking at the style, looking at the fact that Gary was going to be out for so long, I honestly do believe that it took Gary the 3 rounds or so to get the rust off, as I anticipated, because he did not do as good with 2 arms as he did with 1. Because finally, when the rust came off, he had 1 arm, he was doing better, okay? I want to see a rematch just because a lot of these questions would be answered. There's people saying he won't beat Gary with 2 hands, right? But let me tell you something. Depending on the seriousness of the injury, Gary was not throwing any jabs from from I think round 4 or 5, no jabs from Gary. So I want to see a rematch. A lot of things that could be answered there. And that's what I am looking forward to myself. This is D-Style Boxing, guys. Once again, subscribe, hit that notification, and tell me, what do you think? Do you believe, or do you want to see, that is, a rematch with these two guys? And if not, what's next for Gary, and what's next for Magsayo? Gary will depend on the seriousness here. He's just gonna be like Aaron Rodgers, we'll see you next year, I guess. So we will see next season. Peace out.